I would like to talk about how to rethink education tools and methods for fourth revolutionary student. So today we are talking about that new generation or new era has opened for somebody call it the fourth revolution. And this is a right moment as educators, as we are, have to considerately think about what kind of education should we provide for our students. Once a while ago, I talked with the Minerva CEO, Ben Nelson, and if you click this one, you can see the interview with him. This is me and this is Ben Nelson, and we talked about a lot about what should be the competencies for new generation students. And he said that 4C is important. The 4C stands for collaboration, communication, creativity, and critical thinking. To enhance that competencies, Minerva School does a lot of new things, use new technology to enhance their learning. So you can have an idea what kind of new philosophy or concept they adopted for their education, reading my blog here. For here, I would like to present many different kind of e-learning tools. So general e-learning tools and services and open source software, especially for education, and some other simulation tools which is very useful for our education. Those tools and services will, for sure, will improve and enhance our education or training. And with that one, but I think that that every tool should be combined and arranged to increase the students' creativity or critical thinking or problem-solving capability. So I would like to suggest to adopt the idea or framework of creativity of camper or trees into the curriculum and instructional teaching method. So that is what I would like to talk about for this presentation. So first I'd like to review one by one here. First, the tool introduction about general e-learning tools and services. If you go this service by Miss Jane Hart, she get the information from e-learning specialist about 200 e-learning tools, and she categorized and introduced those tools for e-learning, and here she ranked it and analyzed it. I also, it's a good resources and I admire her work, but I thought it's better to rearrange her work result using mind map. So I rearranged that to have a view what can be important group or categories when we use the e-learning tools and services in our own education. So the outermost circle is 200 e-learning tools. So if you roll over the mouse there, you can find the name. Like this one is Adapt, or the other one is iSpring, Articulate, Adobe, and Moodle, things like that. So the inner circle is the categorization. So this is about course authoring, LMS, and webinars. The inner is a higher categorization, instructional tools and content development tools and personal tools and social tools. So if you're interested in using Moodle LMS, you can go here in LMS, and you can see that Moodle is the first ranked from those kind. It's the 27th in order out of 200 e-learning tools. So if you like to see more Moodle tools, you go there and click this link, and it will bring you up to the Moodle analysis here. So here you have the link to Moodle site directly, and another evaluation things. Okay, so I don't like to spend that much time on here. I just told you how to use this table, but things you have to keep in mind is that LMS, the first one, is Moodle. Okay, any more tools like Edmodo and Canvas and Blackboard and many others, but I think the Moodle comes the first. And social learning occupies a lot of space compared to the Oriental society. The Western society value the social learning, and these days the social learning is very important. So there are many tools like this. And if you decide to use video conference, the Skype comes first and Google Hangouts. Those are free services you can use, so it's better. WebEx is a commercial one, and you'd better take a look at this one to get to make a decision which service is just right for your necessity. And response is very useful tools, especially when you use during your class, something like ping pong or Kahoot and Socrative. That's the services you can use inside of your class directly using mobile, which is pervasively used by the students all around the world. So this is very good. The use of these responsive survey or quiz tools means that interaction between students and teachers is very important. So I would like to recommend you to take a closer look at this one if you are not familiar with the general e-learning tools. The second one is about open source software. So if you click this one, it brings you up to open source. So open source, you know that if you have a license problems and if you like to customize yourself, you can get the source for free and do a lot of things with that one. The one thing I'd like to emphasize is that for the solution, as a solution, Moodle is also an open source solution. So you can use the open source if you have a capability in dealing with the software and servers. You can download the Moodle and install it to use it your personal preference. And also there are systems like Mahara. It's a e-portfolio system you can use for free. And this Mahara is well integrated with Moodle, and single sign-on is provided. So when you integrate these things together, you can run the courses. Also, each teachers and students can manage their own e-portfolios, sharing the portfolio which is produced by each course of Moodle with Mahara service, which can be integrated with Moodle very easily. But here I would like to spend more time explaining the desktop open source. The Linux is the one you can use for free, which comes with a lot of educational utilities with it. So you can use Linux rather than Windows or Macintosh with a free license and a lot of educational oriented application which is already mounted on Linux. And there is OpenOffice which can substitute Microsoft Office, and the open source web browsers and Firefox and Chrome has a great capability and utilization for educational purpose. For graphic and audio editors, GIMP for graphic editors, and Inkscape for which can be used to substitute Illustrator, and this is audio editor and 3D modeler. Things like so many open source you can use for graphical and audio editor. Also, math tools and GeoGebra is all open source, and Octave, which can be used to substitute MATLAB, and Sage's this is symbolic expression, symbolic manipulation. Mathematical symbolic manipulation is possible using Sage, something like Mathematica or Maple. And our project is for statistical and probabilistic analysis, like which can substitute SPSS or SAS. So there are many tools you can use from educational purpose from open source. So this is a good directory. It might be very useful for you. I also like to put some emphasis on using simulation tools, which is very useful because I think that learning by doing is very important. And simulation tools enables you to do that. The simulation tools, there are also desktop simulation tools like I explained just before for Octave, which is for substitution for MATLAB, and GeoGebra, which can be substitution for mathematical simulation things. And this is Logisim, which is a desktop digital simulator, and this is OpenSim. It's also open source. Open Simulator, you can install server and make your own service, virtual reality service on internet. And one good thing about it is you can install a library called Sludl, which enables you to connect this OpenSim activity with the Moodle activity. So navigating inside of the virtual world in some specific place, students can access the Moodle interface, and the interaction between Moodle and OpenSim is also possible. So these are tools you can use for implementing learning by doing things in simulative way. There's also web-based simulation tools which is very useful in Tinkercad. And Tinkercad is for creating the mechanical 3D modules on internet web browsers. And this Design 123D is also web-based simulator, which enables you to simulate the electrical circuits like this, and you can check how the thing's going on. This is very useful when students try to learn to understand how it works on physics and electrical engineering and many that kind of this hardware also connected to the simulated hardware also connected to the coding, and they can understand how to code to make the hardware to operate. The file use, this is an app you can use. The file use is very useful tools. You can use this mobile app to take a capture from camera, and it will generate the 3D view like this one. So that is very useful when you deal with some object which have shape, 3D shape, and when you need to transfer the shape, 3D shape to the students for your education. And AuraSma is augmented reality stuff. So in the real world, if you mark something on there, with that app, if you press that camera on there with this app, you can see the augmented contents is synthesized with the real world. Like this one, you can see that some object is moving on the top of the real world camera. So here is a picture, but in here augmented reality, you can see you already put some pictures, register some pictures or videos, and you can see that video is running on the top of the real world. This is what we call augmented reality. Okay, I just reviewed the e-learning tools and services in many different categories, but including these tools and services in your class model, it just doesn't mean that your teaching or education is very efficient and good. It should be organized and arranged the way to increase the students' capability or competencies, especially for creativity competencies. So the class should be organized in the way to increase the creativity of students. So I thought about it, and there are also some assumption that creativity comes from some patterns, like scampers and trees. Scamper, you can take a look at the scamper, and most of the object and the ideas come from doing some operations, doing some actions to the objects. So scamper here means that the first capital letters combining first capital letters like a substitute S, C, A, M, P, E, elimination, R for reorganization. So we can apply these actions to the object, like substituting something. For human, you can substitute leg by artificial mechanics and combine something. So you can combine eraser and pencil together and combination stuff. This one is also famous for the patent. You can understand. So this is a framework of inventing something. So you can substitute or combine and modifying or magnifying. By doing these things in sequence, you can come up with a good ideas, or you might come up with some solution during the process. And trees is more specific way of processing framework for creativity. Trees comes from the Altschuler, who is the scientist of Russia, and she analyzed many patents and tried to get some patents and the process how the ideas or patents, patent come up with. And she categorized it to solve how to solve the specific problems with using tables and cases and progress patterns. So this is a good idea to adopt and take a look at this framework and adopt that things into to reorganize the curriculums of ours currently we are using. So this is our mission as educators. We have to come up with a way to reorganize the curriculums to adapt how the subject or knowledges are related to it together in a creative way. And also the instructional model that in the classroom teaching should be applied that in the context of creativity. So there are too many things for educators, teachers, or professors should do, because they have to practice and understand the creativity framework, and they have to know to implement his course efficiently or effectively, what kind of tools he or she can use from these various kind of e-learning tools and services. So that's about my presentation. I just reviewed the 3 different way, the categories of tools, the most of tools you can use for your classroom, almost for free. And the more important thing is that you have to provide a creativity framework on your course, or further than that, on your curriculums. By that way, probably we can train our students to be prepared for the new era of fourth revolution days.